Separate the people from the problem. Believe it or not, you're always talking to human individuals. When you try to cancel your AOL account, you do not negotiate with AOL. Bush will never negotiate with Iran. You always communicate with one or more individual, having their very own interests. In negotiations between the leaders of different political parties, the person you're dealing with might have several other issues in mind than the one you're currently negotiating about. He might be concerned about being re-elected. It might just as well be the case that she tries to knock off one of her rivals. And most of the time, it's all about saving face. Speaking about political parties, there is a very important distinction we have to draw between negotiating and debating. In negotiation, you try to convince the person you are talking to act in a way favorable to you. When it comes to debating, you try to convince an audience that you're pretty much more right or cooler or whatever than the person you are talking to. So obviously these two concepts do not fit together well. If you try to convince somebody, you will not discredit him in front of his peer group. That is actually why the most promising and effective negotiations will happen in a secret setting with the minimal number of participants. Every negotiator has two kinds of interests in the relationship and in the actual content. A shop owner wants to make a sale and at the same time wants to turn the customer into a regular one. At a minimum, you will want to maintain a working relationship that ensures that whatever you agree on will be implemented later on. It is my recommendation to address the people problem directly. To handle psychological issues, use psychological methods. Do not make confessions on the substance in order to improve the working relationship. And again, don't bargain. Bargaining brings relationship and substance into conflict. Bargaining is a contest of will. If you sense the other party to be driven by fear, then think and talk about what is at stake for him. If she's angry with the party you're representing, then help her to let off steam. By working with the people problem consciously, you also lower the risk of getting angry yourself. Thinking about negotiation as being a formal and rational process is one of the main reasons why they actually fail so often. In fact, most of the effort you will be spending on creating and maintaining a mode that leaves room for rational talk. Now that we know that we're talking to people and that's a tightrope walk, we might avoid doing stupid things. Do not blame the other party for your problems. It's tempting, especially if you think they are indeed responsible, but it's counterproductive. It will push them into a defensive stance, and it will take time and effort for you to then lure them back out. There will be emotions coming up, and you should be prepared for this. State them to be legitimate. Even encourage them to show emotions and talk about them together. Also share your emotions. It does not hurt to say, the people I represent feel they have been mistreated and are very upset. Whatever happens, don't respond to emotional outbursts with an emotional response, for it only leads to quarrels. It may sound a bit unusual, but it's true. Only one person should be angry at a time. Separate the people from the problem and address the people problem consciously. The other three principles are focus on interests, not on positions, invent options for mutual gain, and insist on using objective criteria. I will talk about them in the next issue. If I could raise your interest, you can read it all up in detail in the book Getting to Yes, Negotiation and Agreement Without Giving In by Roger Fisher, William Ury and Bruce Patton.